Good news! King Edward's health is improving, and so are the relationships in the royal household. Edward has gathered his nobles and his wife's relatives together so they can patch up their grudges and hug it out. Will there finally be some stability in the English monarchy? Not if Richard has anything to do with it. He's waiting to drop a bomb. When Queen Elizabeth asks Edward to pardon Clarence along with everyone else, Richard starts up. He acts like the Queen is mocking him by saying Clarence's name, now that he's dead. Wait, what? Clarence is dead? Richard's news has the desired effect. Remember, Richard just had Clarence stabbed and drowned in a barrel of wine. As murders go, that's as cold-blooded as you get. King Edward is stunned. He thought he'd reversed Clarence's death sentence. Richard tells him that the messenger carrying the death sentence was fast, but the messenger carrying the royal pardon was too slow. Richard blames the king for executing his own brother and then throws suspicion on outsiders for good measure. Naturally, King Edward's health takes a dramatic turn for the worse at this point. After the king is helped back to bed, Richard hangs back with his loyal nobles. He blames Clarence's death on the Queen's relatives, stirring up their old grudges once again. Meanwhile, in another room in the palace, Clarence's children sit with their grandmother, the Duchess of York. The children are worried about their father, and the Duchess eventually tells them that he's dead. The Duchess of York is the mother of King Edward, Clarence, and Richard. Of course, the Duchess grieves for Clarence, but she's also very worried about King Edward. As for Richard, she knows she gave birth to a monster. She tells her grandson that Uncle Richard's displays of affection towards him are fake, and everything he says is a lie. A mother always knows. Then Queen Elizabeth enters. Whoa, check out her crazy hair. What's happened? Oh no, King Edward is dead. The Duchess tries to comfort her daughter-in-law by reminding her that, while the death of a husband is bad, the loss of 2 sons in a row is worse. Plus, the Duchess is also a widow, so she wins the prize as the mother of all griefs. Richard is her last remaining child, but she's ashamed of him. At least Queen Elizabeth still has her children. For now. The Queen's brother, Rivers, advises her to have her son, the Prince of Wales, crowned king as soon as possible. In fact, her security depends on it. But as soon as Rivers says this, Richard enters with his cronies. He makes a performance of reassuring the Queen that they're all devastated and then asks for his mother's blessing. Someone needs to give this guy an Oscar. The Duke of Buckingham, who's just arrived with Richard, suggests that only a small group of nobles should escort the young prince to London to be crowned. The other nobles agree that the prince's coronation should be a trouble-free, low-key event. It turns out that this is all part of Richard's plan. When the nobles leave to make the arrangements, the Duke of Buckingham and Richard stay behind. Buckingham urges Richard to make sure that they are part of the small group who'll escort the prince. While they are transporting the prince, Buckingham will find a way to separate him from the group. Even though this is Richard's plot, he's happy to make it look like Buckingham is pulling the strings. So now these two are in cahoots. But what's in it for Buckingham? When news of the king's death spreads throughout the kingdom, the citizens begin to worry. On a London street, we meet some common folk who are discussing the state of the nation. The impending coronation of the young prince isn't good news. If the country's about to be run by a child, they're expecting trouble. They can foresee the power struggle that's about to break out in the royal household. The rivalries among those who will want to influence the young king will ruin England's peace. In particular, the citizens know that Richard is full of danger. The young prince is due to be crowned king by the Archbishop of York. But the prince lives in Wales and must be safely transported to London for the coronation ceremony. His safety depends on the people escorting him. Will they do the right thing? The Queen and the Duchess of York are eager for the prince's arrival in London. While they wait, the prince's younger brother, the Duke of York, talks about his uncle Richard. The young Duke is still sore about a mean comment Richard made to him about his recent growth spurt. Richard said pretty flowers grow slow and ugly weeds grow fast. The boy thinks of a good comeback. Rumour has it that Richard was born with a full set of nasty teeth. The young Duke should have mentioned that when Richard made the ugly weed comment. Oh well, maybe next time. Then a messenger enters, bearing bad news. The Queen's brother Rivers and her son Lord Grey have been arrested and imprisoned in putrid old Pomfret Castle. This is really bad news. Pomfret is famous for its gruesome executions. The Queen sees the ruin of her family flash before her eyes. As for the Duchess, this is another cruel twist in the roller coaster of her life. She's tired of all the drama and feels ready to die. Sensing the danger, the Queen takes her youngest son, the Duke of York, to sanctuary. Back in the day, churches gave temporary sanctuary to people who were being pursued by the authorities. But the official recognition of church sanctuary has a patchy history. Will Richard and his cronies respect it and leave the Queen alone? The Archbishop of York urges the Queen to gather up her money and belongings. He will take them to sanctuary, appoint the Queen as England's monarch, and do his best to protect her. But is the Archbishop of York any match for Richard and his powerful friends? And what about the poor young Prince of Wales? He's in Richard's clutches. Surely Richard wouldn't hurt a child, would he? We hope you enjoyed this Schooling Online production. For more easy lessons, check out our other videos.